Yo, 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 this is episode 77 of Roundtable Discussions. Got myself, Rel Mac.
AKA.
Rap Nerd.
AKA.
Reliot Wilson.
AKA.
Relly Martinez.
AKA.
Dennis the Menace.
AKA.
Rodamez.
AKA.
Millie Rock Mac.
AKA.
The nigga that look like the nigga off the Lemonhead box.
AKA.
Sophisticatedly hood.
Okay. AKA.
And I'm gonna end it with Tequila Poppy.
Tequila Poppy, I like it.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here with the homie.
My name's Jaquayla.
AKA.
Quay.
AKA.
Former owner of Place Closet Online Boutique.
Ow. AKA.
Credit repair expert.
AKA.
Social worker.
AKA.
Owner of Leverage Credit Consulting LLC.
One more. AKA.
Also known as I'm dope as hell in real life.
Oh, high five. Okay, I like that. So before we start every episode, we start with a weekly recap.
Okay.
So can you tell myself and the people that are listening and watching how your week was? That'll be great.
So my week was pretty busy. So my regular job is a social worker. I'm actually currently in school for my master's in social work at the University of Pitt. So I'm a student. I'm interning right now. I'm not currently working, but I am in school, which sucks because of COVID. It's all online. I've also had a couple credit consults this week. So talking to clients, potentials about their credit and really using their tax refunds to leverage their credit.
So overall, how was your week?
I feel like it was pretty productive.
Okay. And second part of that question is, what's one thing or multiple things that pushed you to continue this week?
What pushed me to continue this week? I feel like it's just a sense of getting things done. I actually graduated from school the beginning of May.
Okay.
So I'm just really I'm grinding it out. I've been in school for years now. I started at CCAC when I graduated from Perry High School.
Okay.
So I'm just at a point where I'm just ready to be done. Exactly, I'm done. Although, it's been a journey. I'm just ready to kind of move on next chapter. I've been working super hard. Grad school was super challenging. And I'm just so proud of, actually doing it. Thank you.
Okay. My week was pretty standard. I know the people that are listening, the people that are watching are kind of saying that, but nothing really changes throughout my weeks. I go to work, I go home.
Okay.
I work out, I go home. Like I'm a super homebody now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of people are now because of COVID.
Yeah, but I literally go to work, I get off work, I decompress for about an hour, I work out. After I do that, I eat, and by the time I watch a little bit of TV, it's time to do it all over again.
So pretty much the same routine.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with routine though. I'm working on having a more solid routine because my weeks usually look different.
Yeah.
Depending on what I got going on.
And what kept me pushing this week, I guess the end game, seeing my end goals kept me all right, bro, you gotta get up.
That's where I'm at with it too.
Stop being lazy. You said you were gonna work out today, fucking do it.
Right.
You said you were gonna do X, Y, and Z today, do it.
Yeah.
So that's what
I definitely been pushing myself to do whatever makes you feel good, even when you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah. And before we start the actual the interview process, for the people that are watching, make sure you get your Rap Nerd shirt. Shirts are available, I believe. I'm posted until the 28th of this month. So Sunday, let me look at my calendar before I sit here and light it up. March 28th at midnight is the deadline to get your shirt. $40 a shirt. That includes your shirt and the shipping, because I will not be hunting y'all down for your shirt. So I will be mailing off every shirt because I refuse to chase you down and beat you up.
No, you ain't gonna meet up.
No, I'm not gonna. I did that last time. And
I know exactly how it is.
And I told people a specific time, at a specific date, location, and not too people showed up. So now I'm stuck with this stuff, calling people, texting people. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Shipping. So
Yeah.
everyone get the shit. But March 28th, get your Rap Nerd shirt, please.
I'll definitely cop that.
Thank you. Have fun. See, this is dope. It's a dope already. All right. So for the people that may not know you, like who are you and what it is and what is it that you do?
Okay, so for the people who don't know me, I'm Jaquayla. Most people call me Quay. I'm from the north side of Pittsburgh. Like I said, my background is social work, so that's my educational journey. And more recently, I tapped into credit repair. So how it kind of came about is I was just kind of helping out family and friends, like helping them get their credit together. And I seen like a larger need, right? Like amongst really a lot of people my age who look a lot like me. And just not knowing about credit, not knowing the benefits of it, and really never establishing it. So I was like, I want to start a credit repair business. Like I have good credit, I can put into practice what I did, teach people so they can also leverage their credit. So that's my baby, Leverage Credit Consulting. Shout out to Aaron who set up my LLC with Score Plus. Get with them. That was the easiest process, just letting somebody else handle the paperwork side of it. And he got me right. I'm a legit, solid, registered business.
Yes.
And so far we're doing really well. Most of my clients come from people that I know, honestly. And honestly, a lot of women too are really on some, what can I do to get myself together?
Awesome.
Credit is it. Exactly. So that's what I've been really working on, and really just trying to finish up school. I'm looking to move out of Pittsburgh in the next couple of years. I feel like everyone should venture out. I've traveled. I don't feel like there's much here for people like myself. And so yeah, my goal is to kind of move, but my mission is to help as many people, with their credit, teach them the importance of credit and how they can use it to benefit them and their families.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. What was the initial spark to say, this is what I want to do? Like, what was the initial thought? Like, maybe I should start a credit.
Yeah, so, as I stated, I launched my business during the pandemic.
Okay.
So, I just had more time on my hands over the summer. And one day, me and my best friend, her name's Andrea, we were talking just about credit and wanting, to boss up. And she was like, I'm getting into real estate. And I'm like, I'm gonna tap into credit. And so she's gonna be taking her real estate exam soon. I'm gonna be doing the credit side. So we really just want to be kind of exactly as a team, just getting people approved, getting people in homes, especially Black people. And I feel like we're especially our people.
Yeah.
Because we know, that's an asset to building generational wealth, which is, I don't know where most people's coming from, but I don't have generational wealth in my family. And so that's my goal.
95% of the people probably listening and watching didn't come from families who had money.
Exactly.
So we all come from a similar background or a similar background. So, yeah.
Come from, not being taught about how to, really make money. I feel like everyone's oriented to working for other people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like it's always going to cap you at what they feel like you deserve.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm big on entrepreneurship.
That was going to be my question. So, have you, in your life, had someone that you looked up to who was an entrepreneur, or you just had that spirit in you and it just jumped out?
Definitely always had the entrepreneur spirit in me.
Okay.
So, when I started working in high school, I was one to be stacking, my checks. I like to see my money in my account. Mm-hmm. I also like nice things, but there was just something about being able to save and, just have money. And so that's kind of always been the type of person that I am. And also, no one taught me about credit, but I knew it was important. Mm-hmm. So I just took my own initiative, get me a secure credit card. How do I use it? Did my own research. I really didn't want, to be like some of the people around me, right? I wanted to be better. I wanted to have better. Yeah.
You mentioned maybe 5 minutes earlier, you said us as Black people, we don't talk about money. We were never taught about money. And none of my questions are geared to very, very personal, but within your household, were you guys talking about money as a kid, or money was just never discussed?
So money was discussed. I was actually raised by my uncle.
Okay.
So my upbringing is a little bit different because I was raised by predominantly a male household.
Okay.
And so honestly, my uncle was just like, he was real raw, right, about life and what it's like for people who look like us.
Mm-hmm.
So, straight off the porch, I knew, don't go out there and mess up your credit, right? Like when you get out into the real world, you're going to have responsibilities, you're going to have to do that. And so we didn't talk much about money because I feel like we had like a scarcity mindset, right?
Okay.
Like not having a whole lot. And so going back to, generational stuff, that's kind of implemented into us, right? And so we grow up with this idea of what we can and cannot have, based off of how we were raised. Money was something that was discussed, but not in like an optimistic way, right? Like you could go out and have this, you can acquire this or that.
And that sucks. Like honestly, like being a young black, we're young, we're young adults now.
Mm-hmm.
So being a black kid, like not having those talks or not having that extra push, like yo, you can do this or you can be that, or this is how money works, this is how money operates.
Right.
And it's not the fault of our parents or in your case your uncle.
Right.
Maybe they just weren't educated. And that fucking sucks. But now that we have the knowledge and the tools,
right,
the internet and everything like that, I feel like it's our duty to educate even like the ones younger than us.
Absolutely.
And even having to teach the ones older than us,
mm-hmm,
because we have two roles that we have to play. So before we continue, can you maybe give everyone your socials, how they can contact with, how they can get in contact with you, telephone number, email, all that stuff?
Absolutely. So my website is www.leveragecreditconsulting.com. I have a Facebook page, Leverage Credit Consulting, Instagram page, Leverage Credit Consulting. And you guys can tap into my website, check it out. You can schedule a free credit consult, even if you just are looking for guidance or understanding about your credit. I'm very transparent with people about what they actually need, right? Like it's not all about getting money from me. It's more so about being able to help someone. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm motivated to do. So if people don't actually need full-blown credit repair, right? Like you might just need to know what accounts can I add to help build my score. Yeah. I'm willing to, give them that information. Okay,
and before I forget this question, because my memory's trash, you posted, all right, you posted something maybe a few days ago about the difference between a charge card and a credit card. And I know the difference, but there may be people listening and watching who may not know the difference between the two. So can you break down what each of them, what each mean and the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people do know how a credit card works. So you apply for a credit card, they may give you, a credit line, or you may not get approved. So if you do get approved, depending on what your limit is, that's how much you can spend available on your credit card. Mm-hmm. Then you'll get a bill in the mail or through your email, let you know, hey, this is your minimum payment for the upcoming month. And you just have to make your minimum payment so you're able to carry a balance, right? With a charge card, it's a little bit different. And I actually learned that from, just me applying for one actually for my business. It's a little bit different. So it's...
She got money.
Listen, I'm tapping in. And there's a such thing as credit rich.
Let me hold that.
but seriously. So I ended up actually not wanting a charge card because I didn't see the benefit for what I was trying to use it for. So charge cards actually does not allow you to carry a balance. So their expectation is whatever you charge, you're going to be able to pay it off the following month in full. Mm-hmm. And if you're not able to do that, there's tons of fees associated with that. So that's the biggest difference is credit cards, you can carry a balance. Charge cards, you have to pay off the full balance each month that you use it.
Listeners and viewers, pay attention to that part. And if you missed it, you can always rewind it. This is going to be on YouTube, as you know, as you're watching it on YouTube, and the audio on several platforms. So if you did miss it, please rewind because that's very important because you can definitely learn and you will get screwed if you think something is a credit card and it's actually a charge card, and you'll be calling her again to fix your credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once you got that card, it's yours. And so it's definitely important to read right before you're applying, because as soon as you put your social security number in, it's pulling your credit. So you want to be aware of what you're kind of getting yourself into.
Yeah. Okay. Back to like credit and credit scores. Please don't say who the person is.
Okay.
But can you maybe give me an example of what the lowest credit score you may have came across?
Okay. So for people who don't have like any credit, the system may not actually be able to generate a credit score. So I've seen people. Yep. So some people, like, they literally cannot, compile a report because there's just no history there.
Okay.
So I've seen people with credit scores, listed as a number 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what their credit score is listed as. Right.
And I'm not laughing at the number. I'm laughing at that. Like,
right.
I didn't even know that you can have a 4.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's for people who, they've never really had anything in their name, so they can't even generate a score. As far as people who just have never really built their credit, or they have, damaged their credit, a lot of people I see are like in the 400s, which is, pretty low. The highest score you can have is like 800.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so I would say 400s.
Okay, so X person comes to you like, hey, my credit score is 400.
Mm-hmm.
I have a long laundry list of things that are on my credit report that are obviously bad.
Right.
They come to you. From there, what do you do to increase your credit score?
Okay, so we would first do a credit consult, right? And I want to get a feel for what is, what are your goals as far as your credit, right? Because I want people who are motivated. They have a reason as to why they're trying to improve their score. So, I speak to them about that, and then we kind of discuss what's on your report, what's negative, what happened with this account, what happened with this repossession. Right, so they're being pretty transparent with me about this is what it's been looking like, and it really gives them the opportunity to kind of tell their story, right? Because I believe some people might feel a little insecure about their credit, right? And I'm not judgmental. It's just kind of like, what happened?
Yeah.
Right, because there's a story behind it.
Yeah, like I need to know the details so that
right.
way I can fix this shit.
Exactly. So there's usually a story behind it, right? Like people are like, well, I fell on hard times, lost my job, had a kid. And so, it makes sense. But so from there, I would, talk to them about what accounts can we challenge, on your behalf. And then also there's tons of different credit building websites out there that you can get accounts to report. You can pay a payment each month. It'll go into a savings account. So there's tons of different resources to use to build up the credit report. Because I know people be caught up on the score. What's my score? I'm in the 700, 800 club. But if you don't have the credit history to support it, you may not get approved like you think you would just because your score is high.
Yeah.
And so I recommend, a lot of different products to clients. There's different websites that will report your rent, right? Like that's something people pay on a monthly basis, but they're not getting credit for it. And so there's specialized websites to, report your rent so it could be used towards your credit.
Okay. Like, so what about like, cause for one, I didn't know rent can be part of your credit report. So what are some other things that may like slide under the radar that actually go on your credit report, or the rules have changed and now it is a part of your credit? Like, cause I remember at one point, like I believe like your cell phone wasn't part of your
right. Yeah. So Experian, I'm sure many people have heard of Experian Boost. And so what it does is you basically connect your bank account to your Experian credit report. And so they're able to go in and see what bills do you pay recurring each month. It can be a phone bill, a utility bill, and they'll report that to your credit as well. But it would only go for Experian, right? Like that doesn't mean TransUnion or Equifax will report it. So scores might vary a little bit depending on who's reporting it. But so Experian is definitely trying to give people credit for things they just pay, monthly.
Okay, and you mentioned 3 different platforms: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Would you happen to know the difference between the 3 and why there are 3? And because I know each one has a different rating, scale. Do you know the difference between the 3?
I don't know the difference between the 3, but I know Experian is one of the main credit bureaus. Okay. And so when people go for credit, they use different things to consider, is this person worthy of a credit line? And so they, it really is just your data being used.
Like,
Yeah, that's pretty loud.
yeah, come on, man.
It's making its ice good, I mean.
We was over here battling for a good solid 20 minutes, and here you go over there making ice and shit. Like, but okay, so real quick, you mentioned those three, and do they all go about the same rating?
No. So it depends on, first off, where you're having your credit pulled from.
Okay.
Because they use different scoring models. So the main, way to score someone's credit or determine can I give you a credit line is your FICO score. Then there's different, tiers to the FICO score. Some companies use the Vantage score. So that's why people will notice the difference when they're checking their scores on different websites, like Credit Karma. I tell people, like, it's not a bad site to have, like a resource, but as far as like knowing your actual scores, it'll be a little bit off.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
Technical difficulties.
Definitely technical difficulties.
So since you're watching this and not listening to it on audio, there's a good chance there probably won't be audio, but because I'm having computer issues. But thank God I got the camera. And God bless this young woman for being patient with me. If you guys knew what we just did to try to save the audio,
yes. We did the most.
We did the most.
We did.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so sorry. But back on credit. So
let's get it.
I believe we left off at the part of like the credit score and the three different tiers and companies of credit. Can you maybe, because right now it's it's the end of March, basically April, and it's tax time, and a lot of people got their stimmy. And I know a lot of people's goals are to either buy a house this year or potentially save up to buy a house in the near future. So can you maybe break down the importance of credit and what you believe the minimum credit score would be to purchase a home for a new home buyer?
Okay, so actually it's not that high of a credit score that you need to actually be able to get approved for a home loan, whether it be like an FHA loan or a personal loan, going through a bank. But I believe the minimum right now is like 650.
Okay.
So if you have a 650 credit score, a pretty solid credit profile, you can work on, get yourself in a position to buy a home. So I feel like people probably think like it's like unattainable, right? Like it seems like so much has to go into purchasing a home, but I don't even think that's really a high credit score. Like that's a pretty fair credit score.
A 650 is like the bare minimum you would say to purchase a home.
Absolutely, 650.
And okay, so in knowing that there's different tiers of a credit score, I know like I believe it's fair, good, very good, and like excellent.
Yep.
What would be the 650 verbiage for it? Is that fair or is that good?
Like fair. 700 is like good, very good.
Okay.
So you really do just need like fair credit to purchase a home. So it's not, super unattainable how some people might think it is.
Okay. And question, so again, the person comes to you with credit score of a 4, remember you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Credit score of a 4, and they're like, hey, Corey, I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to you, let's say, April 1st.
Okay.
How long of a timeline can they expect to have their credit score at a respectable number?
Right. So I always tell people 3 to 6 months to start seeing results, right? Like, so when we're disputing items on your credit report, we have to work with the credit bureaus, and they have, allotted times to respond to consumers' requests, when you're questioning something on your credit report. So that's one. So they have like 30 to 45 days due to COVID. Obviously, they have a little bit more time, but so we're really working on their time frame, right? Aside from trying to have negative items removed, we're also trying to build up the positive credit history. So it'll take a couple months, right, for accounts to start reporting and you're making your payments on time. So that in itself just takes, some time. But typically I tell my clients 3 to 6 months you'll start seeing some results.
That's a fast turnover.
Yeah, and it really depends on what's on your credit. Some people have pages long of, items that they
I'm not laughing at that.
but it's real. I mean,
but it's just, Like,
exactly. So it really just depends on your credit profile. So if you really just have to establish credit, it's going to be easier for you, right? There isn't too much to try to work on removing. But if you have the negative items and you need to build it, it's going to take a little bit longer. So I tell people, trust the process. It didn't take, a little bit of time to mess up your credit, right? So it's going to take some time to build it and kind of repair it. And so that's a part of people having a mindset, right, of knowing that it's worthwhile. Although you might not see that instant gratification of, oh, my score has improved. It's something that's a process and it will change over time. So, in a couple months, they kind of feel more motivated. Like, okay, I'm seeing some, results. And so that motivates them to kind of keep it up.
Okay. And before we continue, can you also, again, give them all your socials, website, email, telephone number, any way they can get in contact?
Absolutely. So once again, my website's www.leveragecreditconsulting.com. You can also get in touch with me via Instagram, Leverage Credit Consulting, Facebook, Leverage Credit Consulting. You can send us an email, leveragecreditconsulting@outlook.com. And my number is 678-671-1606. So I do have an Atlanta number. People be like, who's calling from Atlanta?
That's a good one, by the way. I'm just
No, seriously. So yeah, you guys can definitely get in touch with me. Mainly through social media.
Okay. And so again, I'm person A. I come to you. I have a credit score before, and I need a lot of help. How much is this going to cost me?
Okay, that's a good question because I haven't talked about my prices. So currently, to enroll in my services, right? So that's me, doing your credit consult, going over your actual credit report, and you let me know what items you're looking to have removed. It costs $129.99 to enroll into services. Moving forward, you would pay $99 each month that I'm working on repairing your credit.
Okay.
So it is, somewhat of an investment, but it is a worthwhile investment.
It's worth it. You got your STEMI. Come
It's
on,
worth
fam. You got your STEMI.
Use your STEMI. I mean, they're giving
Buy a
it to
house.
us.
Come on, fam.
They're giving it to us. They're literally,
Yeah.
making it easy, right? To get to the money.
Yeah.
Literally, I feel like COVID has opened up another, just
Another door, another monster.
right, exactly, right. Like people's really out here going hard, and I tell everybody the first step to doing anything financial is credit.
Yeah.
I don't really care what you're working towards, whether it be I'm trying to open a business, I want to buy a home, whatever it is. Credit is going to help you to to be able to do that, right? Because most people just don't have the access to the funds. So, credit is it.
Yeah. So you said $129
$129.99
for the initial
enrollment,
and then $99
each month.
every month following that.
Absolutely, and that's something that will come out automatically. People are like, "Oh, let me cash out you." No, that's not how I services. Right? No, let me get you, enrolled into what we're doing. So.
Okay. Let me switch gears real quick. This is Roundtable Discussions, and everyone knows me for being the music guy, being the rap nerd, as you can see on my shirt.
What's your favorite artist?
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
my favorite artist, Jay. Oh,
Okay.
That's my favorite artist. Anyone who knows me like that. Like, I tell people all the time, y'all better play Allure at my funeral, right? or I'm haunting whoever.
You know what?
I'm dead ass serious.
Okay.
But the rap nerd question of the interview.
Okay.
What was your first album you ever purchased and why?
First album I ever purchased. We will have to give me some time to think about that. When I was younger, like high school young, I used to love Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Like he was just super hard. All the Carter 3, super hard. I also used to like Webby. Like I like trap music.
That's
good. I'm not good, but to me it's relatable. I might not be doing what you're talking about, but I'm just as motivated and hungry as you are. So yeah, I would probably say it was probably like a Lil Wayne album because I used to love Lil Wayne.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. Like Wayne's peak was probably, in my opinion, was probably like between like 05 and like 08. That's when he was smoking. So would you say it would be within that time period?
I feel like maybe even a little bit after.
A little bit after.
I don't know when the Carter 3 came out. And that's what's the song like? Let the Beat Build. That album.
Yeah.
Mr. Hey, Mr. Carter.
Yeah, that was Carter 3.
Carter 3. Okay.
I'm using my phone right now, so I can't look. But if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would probably say that's like 2007, 2008.
Okay, so yep.
Maybe 2009-ish.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a little bit like 2009-ish.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So right back to credit. What would you believe? Well, like not what you believe, but like what's the pros and cons to your business? Like, what's something you absolutely love, and what's something you like? I can do without.
Right. So, like I said before, I absolutely love being able to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a social worker at heart. That's what I went to school to be.
That's school for
exactly. So I'll be graduating soon. So I genuinely have concern for people, right? Because I've learned about different challenges that people face and how it impacts them. So whether or not people know things impact them, it does. Especially in the Black community, we experience a lot of trauma, and a lot of it is normalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's normalized, and so we're used to it. And so just being able to help people is very liberating for me, but especially when it comes to the financial part. And I never thought that I would tap into credit or finances because I was not a math person growing up. Hence, that's why I went to school for social work. I can read and write all day, but really have an opportunity to be able to help people, it's very, rewarding. I would say the con is just people not being, ready to do the work, right? Like, when people come to me and they're not really motivated, or they don't really seem like they're invested in it,
or they want things to happen overnight.
Exactly. That's challenging, right? And I'm talking through things with them, and people still may not have that mindset of it takes time, right? It's a process. So I would say the biggest thing is being able to help people in the sense of understanding finances and how their credit can help put them in a better position. That's just what it is. It can put you in a better position. I really enjoy that. What I don't enjoy is when people aren't really ready to do the work.
Yeah.
And when I say do the work, I mean, changing habits and how they use their credit and how they look at their finances. Because I can do what I'm going to do on my end, but if you're not doing the work on your end, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to be in the same boat that we were in. So I do try to encourage clients to, look at it that way.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. Well, I try to tell people all the time. It's not really money's like not the issue.
Right.
It's your money management.
Absolutely.
And I can speak from experience. Like, I'm pretty good with money, mm-hmm. but I've had my times where it's like, you've been bugging.
Mm-hmm. Like, hold up, my finances are slipping a little bit.
Yeah, like, hold on, you look at your,
right.
One too many nights at the, you know what I mean? So,
it'd be like that.
Yeah, but I feel like us as a culture, we're getting better at it.
We're definitely getting more educated about it.
Yes, and with people such as yourself that are helping us within our community, it's needed.
It's absolutely needed.
So can you maybe share a story without saying the person's name? I know we gave generic examples.
Right.
But can you maybe share a story of how someone, like a real life story, mm-hmm. and how someone came to you with X and how they got to where they're at with their, like what their credit score was when they finished with you, mm-hmm. and the things that they've done with their credit following you, mm-hmm. if you know that.
Okay, so I have one client in mind. She's a woman. I know she's a mother.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, talk to you.
So she's a mom. And she came to me, in hopes of fixing her credit because her goal was to purchase a home. And so I believe when we first started her credit, it was not terrible, but it did need some, rehabbing. So I believe she was like in the 500s, like across the board, like 500s. She had tried to work on some stuff on her own. And so when she came to me, we really just mapped out a plan, right? Like, how can we get your score where you want it to be? Because our goal was to buy a home. And so she would reach out to me, pretty often. Like, a couple times she reached out, she's like, oh, my score hasn't changed, I'm getting a little anxious. And then I would just kind of pull back and say, you know what, it's a process. Don't get discouraged. You know, as you open new accounts, your scores may go down, but trust the process that as, you know, new accounts start reporting and are positive, you're going to see those increases. And so she did. She was, you know, willing. She was like, okay, I trust you. Let's see how it goes. So she messaged me a couple weeks ago. She screenshot me her credit score, and she's like 700 club. And she's like, I'm so excited. I'm so thankful. You've been so helpful along the way, because people get discouraged, right? And so it was really exciting for me to see her progress made. And a lot of it was also about what she did on her own. Like, she was like, let me see who I can get to add me as an authorized user, because I know that would help build my score. Let me see what I can pay down. Let me see how I can get my student loans in order, right? So taking that initiative. It can't all be on the person repairing your credit.
You have to do some work with your
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned being an authorized user. Can you maybe break down the process and the steps that someone may take or someone needs to take in order to become an authorized user, so that way they can increase their credit score?
Absolutely. So I'll just say, this is a disclaimer. That is one of the easiest ways to increase your credit score. And honestly, it's like super annoying, because most people do not have access to someone who has good credit, right? To be able to say, hey, auntie, can you add me to that Capital One that you've been had for 20 years and paid faithfully? A lot of people don't have that. And so,
and if you have, and if you have a history of like not being trustworthy, that even if you do know somebody who has a good credit score, they're not going to trust you to do that. So you have to be,
absolutely. Yep. And so as far as the authorized user, it's super simple. That's actually how I started to really see the benefit of adding family and friends to my accounts. So basically, you know, you would, if you have a aunt or a cousin, whomever, your mom, dad, you can say, hey, do you have positive credit accounts that you can add me to? And so you want to be careful and make sure that they actually have used their credit responsibly, because being an authorized user, you will basically inherit their credit profile for as long as they allow you to stay on the account.
That's true.
And so if they have 100% payment history, they don't use a lot of their credit, low utilization, with a high credit limit, and even if it's not, you know, a couple thousand, even if it's a couple hundred, for someone who has no credit, it's very impactful. And so all you would need to do is provide like your basic information. So usually your name, address. Some credit card companies require like the last four of your social. But basically you're just linking yourself to their account. Most people who add people as authorized users, they don't allow them to have a card, because they won't say, where should we mail their card to? And obviously it's something that you wouldn't give to the person, but you're just allowing them to kind of piggyback off of your positive credit profile. And so it's really simple, just basically giving, you know, whomever your information. They'll add you to the account, they'll start kicking in and reporting, and you'll just see your scores going up, just because they have that positive credit history, and now you're benefiting from it. And something I recently learned as I was learning about credit.
Come on, school. I can't school.
I don't be holding nothing back. Is that some people think, oh, this account on my credit's closed, I need this removed. You don't necessarily need it removed. Sometimes a closed account that's positive is actually helping your credit score. It is still giving you credit age. So for instance, if someone adds you as an AU, or authorized user, for 10 months, even after that they may take you off and they no longer letting you inherit your credit history, you'll still get that positive credit history. So it'll show as a closed account, but you still get that history. It'll just look like, oh, it's just closed. So if it's a 30-year account that's been open positive, you're still going to kind of benefit from it. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I hope this makes sense to y'all. You mentioned
if not, I can reach out, I'll explain it.
Yeah, you reach out. Yeah, exactly.
I'll explain it.
You mentioned something that a lot of people didn't catch if you're not really into credit, anything like that. Credit card utilization. Now, I'll tell you what I was told, and you can correct me. I was told to never go over 10% of what your credit limit is.
That's good advice.
So we're going to use simple numbers here. So if your credit limit is $1,000, you shouldn't be spending no more than $100 on your credit.
Absolutely. That's like excellent utilization.
Okay. Now, if you know going over the edge, I was told between 10 and 12.
Okay. Now people are saying like 8%.
Yeah. Now, if you got a credit limit of 1,000 and you just 800, you like,
Right.
you bugging.
Right,
You
definitely bugging. This is how I explain it to people. When you are trying to build up your credit profile, and most people want access to have credit lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do a cash advance, meaning you can actually take that money off your credit card, turn it into cash, and kind of utilize it for whatever you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people you want to use credit like you don't need it, right? Like, that's just plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you use credit like you don't need it, it's so much more easier to get access to credit and getting those larger credit line increases. Mm-hmm. And so, who would want to give someone money who's using $1,000, $1,000 on a credit line, and that's the limit they have? Mm-hmm. You look like you need that money, right? And so you want to.
You look thirsty.
Yeah, you look thirsty. And you look like you might not pay it back, so that might be a risk. And so that's how you gotta really think about it in that context, right? You want to use it like you don't need it, and then they're going to throw it at you.
Yeah, and I'm not one that, but I'm not gonna say my credit limit or what my credit score is, but I think the most I've used my credit card, I've never went over $150.
Okay.
Like, 'cause I just don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use it because I'm like, I haven't used this in a while. Let me go get some gas.
Right.
And my credit limit's been like rising because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, oh, they're like,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. They want to give it to
here's
you.
some more money. Here's some more money.
Here. What do you need to do?
And it's like,
any big purchases coming up?
It's like, no, I don't need you. Like, I use you when I need you.
Right.
Yeah, but do not go over. Well, I was told to not go over 10%.
Yeah. So I tell clients, because that's a big issue for a lot of people, right? Like they be maxing stuff out when they need access to money. People rely on their credit card. So, the best you can do is 30%. Mm-hmm. Like as long as you're, using 30% or less, that's okay. It's not great, but that's okay. It's not going to impact your score in a negative way. If you really want to see a positive impact, it is trying to keep it between 8%. Okay. So that's using barely, any of your credit.
Yeah. You mentioned a few things also. You mentioned credit card utilization, mm-hmm. the history of your credit card. I know there's a few other things like the how many times you get hit. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's a good question. So before I even get into that, I know that like when you apply for different cards or mm-hmm. you apply to go get a new car. They
mm-hmm.
keep hitting your credit. They mm-hmm. keep hitting it. Does that hurt or help your credit?
So it definitely hurts it, but not as much as people probably assume. Okay. So I've also gone to get a new vehicle, and I'm under the impression that look, y'all. So I was under the impression that it's one hard inquiry, right? Like I'm going to one dealership, mm-hmm. and I'm working on getting approved through whoever. So dealerships don't care. Their goal is to get you financed, right? And so they're going to be having your credit hit through multiple credit unions, multiple banks, mm-hmm. and so that's when people see those multiple hard inquiries from multiple banks that look at your credit to give a decision. Mm-hmm. And so that does hurt people's credit score. And hard inquiries stay on your credit for like 2 years.
Can you explain what a hard inquiry is?
Mm-hmm. So it's just basically what it sounds like. It's a hard pull to your credit. And it's usually linked to your social security number. So if you're providing your social security number on credit applications, most likely it's going to be a hard inquiry. Okay. And so what that means is companies can see, hey, someone looked into your credit to see, hey, can we give this person a credit line or, can we not? Mm-hmm. And so that will show. And so the way that can hurt your score is they can see things that you've gotten denied for, right? Mm-hmm. Like if it's on there, that means you've applied and didn't get it. And so sometimes they can hurt your score if you have a lot of hard inquiries.
What's the maximum hard inquiries you think someone should have at one time so it doesn't affect them as much? Mm-hmm. So I would say like 3 to 5 inquiries are okay. Right? Like you can't avoid inquiries when you're opening new accounts. So that's a part of establishing and building your credit. Mm-hmm. What you don't want to do is just apply for any old account and not really care, because every time you do that, it is going to be a hard inquiry on your credit report. So 3 to 5 is cool. When people start having 8 to 10, I'll talk to them about, hey, what can we do to remove some of these inquiries? Because it kind of looks bad on your behalf. It looks like you applied for something and you did not get it. And you don't want them to know that, right? Yeah, so go back to the other question I had. You mentioned credit card utilization, the length of your credit history. I know there's like certain like bullet points, like all of those bullet points. I don't know the actual term.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're getting at.
Can you like pinpoint all of those so that way people can know what like really affects your credit?
Absolutely. So there's like 5 biggest impactors on your credit.
Impactors.
So obviously, number 1 is payment history, right? Like, do you pay your bills on time? That's 35% of your credit score. So I tell people that is an easy way to see changes, right? By changing your habits and trying your best to pay things on time. The second biggest thing that impacts your credit score is utilization. So that's 30%. So how much of your credit are you actually using?
So we're up at 65% already. You said 35 and 30.
Yep.
65%. Okay.
Exactly. And then the third biggest thing is 15% of your credit score, which is your age of accounts. So how long have you had credit established? And so this is usually one that really impacts people, right? Because it's new. Like, people are just trying to build. So it's like, oh, I don't have a lot of credit history. And so, there's different options for people like that. If people don't have family members that they can piggyback off of, there are people who actually sell their trade lines so that you're able to.
What does that mean?
So basically, you would pay them to get listed as an authorized user.
Okay.
Exactly. So that helps people with their credit age. The fourth biggest thing, I believe, is 10%. Those are the hard inquiries. So those are when people are pulling your credit, just kind of looking at it to make a decision. And then the last thing, I believe, is also 10%. And that is having a mix of accounts. So some people have all credit card accounts, which is not terrible. But banks like to see you have mixed accounts. So do you have an installment loan? And so there's a difference in the type of credit you can have. You can have installment accounts, which is like a mortgage, a student loan, a car loan, where the interest is kind of already combined into the loan. You worked out your monthly payment, and that's what you pay. Credit cards are a little bit different. It's revolving credit, right? It changes as you use it, and your minimum payment will change as well.
Minimum payments, you mentioned that. That's a good topic because again, I'm not here. This platform is for us and us meaning black people. God damn it! I'm a little light skinned. You see the hair, but what did I just say? I just really lost
minimum payment.
Minimum payments, yes. So we tend to, as a culture, we tend to just give them the bare minimum. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It could be both. If you're carrying a high balance and you just keep on paying that little $35 each month, I want you to take a look at how much of your payment is actually going to the principal balance.
Yes.
Because oftentimes you're just paying the interest. And so those are the things you want to consider when they show you the breakdown of this is what you're going to pay in 5 years if you just make the minimum. That's important to know because people wonder why. Well, I'm paying each month, I'm paying on time. But my balance is not decreasing, and why is that? So oftentimes, if you're carrying a large balance, you do want to do more than the minimum because the goal is to pay it off as fast as you can because you're paying interest on that money that you use, unless you're on like a new card where you have like a period where they're not charging the interest for like a year or so. But if it's an account that you've had open, you're paying interest each month on whatever the balance is, and so you don't want to get into the habit of just trying to pay the minimum. If you can pay a little bit more, by all means, pay a little bit more.
Pay a little extra.
Pay a little bit more.
Pay a little extra.
Pay it off quicker.
Yeah. All right. So we mentioned. Remember we were just talking about
minimum payments.
Minimum payments again. Yep. But another thing I wanted to ask because this is something I need to know. I'm pretty sure we all probably need to know as well. Do certain credit cards hit different? Meaning, like, is it better to have a Bank of America or American Express or Chase, whatever credit card you have? Do certain companies or certain credit cards hold more weight than the others?
Right. So, I don't know if they hold more weight. But so what you want to make sure is that they're actually going to report your usage and how you use your credit to the credit bureaus, right?
Because all of them don't report.
Right, so not all banks report, right? And you want them to report to all 3 credit bureaus. So most banks do, but some like smaller credit unions, like right, they're just regular companies. And so they may not all report to the credit bureaus.
How does one find out?
Google, YouTube, like doing your research, right? Like you got to do your research and know. But I would say the benefit of some of the major credit card companies is the credit limits that they extend to people, right? And so if you have good credit, they're able to offer you more money. Basically, they're bigger credit card companies, and that's how they also make their money. So I wouldn't say they really hit different, but you just want to make sure your credit usage is going to get reported, because if not, it's going to be like it didn't happen.
I only ask that because you tend to see like companies, and this is no knock to this company at all, but a company such as like American Express. You hear the name American Express, you would think like that car or that company holds a little bit more weight than a Discover card.
Right, absolutely. So, like depending on where you can use it at too. Yeah. And then the cash back purchases. So, there's perks to having credit, right? Like they reward you for using your credit card. So I'm at a point where I want to start using my credit as if it's debit, right? Because I have that debit mindset. That's how it came up. That's what I was raised to do. But I want to be able to utilize my credit because they reward you for using your credit and using it responsibly. Yeah, mileage points,
other things like
like flying cars, restaurants, eat out or gas. They basically reward you for using your credit and using it responsibly.
Does the number of open credit cards that you have hurt or help you? Because I was always told don't have no more than 2 to 3 credit cards. I know some people that got like 7 or 8, or some people have 2, some people have 1. So what's a good number to have so that way it doesn't hurt you as much?
Right. So when I'm working with clients who are really trying to establish their credit profile, I'm wanting to add at least 3 new accounts, right? Because when you get listed as an authorized user, that's exactly what you are. So, companies are able to see what type of account it is. Is it an authorized user account? Is it a primary account? And primary account means it belongs to you, right? So they know that's how you used it and that's what they're reporting. So I like to have people open at least 3 of their own accounts because you have to establish that credit history. And, as far as people who have more credit cards, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have high balances on them or large credit limits, then that's okay too, to kind of like fix some of that utilization, right? Like balance it out. Like if you use a lot of your credit, it's not a bad idea to have, multiple credit cards because it's all scored under your credit report.
10% on this card, 10%, 10%.
Exactly, and then you get a score kind of overall of how much you're using. So it's going to automatically help with your utilization. So I don't think it's bad to have, multiple credit cards. I say it's all about how you're using them.
Like me personally, I only have 1.
Okay.
And
I have multiple.
I would rarely use. I need to start using it more.
Yeah.
I tell myself that all the time. Like instead of just getting gas, or like little silly shit from the gas station, just like little dumb shit. Just use it.
Exactly.
I need to stop using my cash.
Exactly, because you're not getting rewarded.
Yeah.
You're not leveraging having your good credit.
I'm fucking up. See, I'm over here learning too.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm learning.
Like what's going to benefit us. And right now, credit is what benefits people, not cash.
Is there anything that we skipped out on or we forgot to talk about, or is there anything that you may want to speak to that you just want to speak to?
I would just say people, I really don't know why everyone is not sold on the idea of obtaining, decent or good credit. I feel like
it's new to us.
It is new. It's definitely new. And so for people who it is new to, right, because I've learned about credit for some years now. I've been able to build my own credit up. Just do your research. Look into what people can do, by having good credit. People are able to tap into real estate and, begin to invest in real estate. People are able to open businesses. People are able to get different things in place for their businesses to help it grow. Yeah. And so just do your research, look into it so you can know what is the actual benefit. Not only for you, but also people who have children. And I love children, and I feel like we need to invest into them, more, right? Because that's our legacy.
That's how you, the generational wealth. We have to build something now so that way we can leave something for the youngins, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can probably attest to this, like, my parents are a little older and they ain't had much for me when I turned 18, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had to learn about these things on my own. I had a little help, I'm not gonna sit here and lie, but I had a little help, but like, I'm a trial and error baby. I had to figure it out on my own.
Right.
So,
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I definitely just looked around me and seen, I want to do something different. I want to be someone different, right? And, I feel like just educating yourself on how things could benefit you, how can it impact you, how can it make your life better, it's worthwhile looking into.
Yeah. So make sure you reach out.
Definitely reach out.
Give them the socials, give them everything. One more
Okay,
time.
I'm gonna give it to y'all one more time. So my website is www.leveragecreditconsulting. I also have the Instagram handle, Leverage Credit Consulting. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Leverage Credit Consulting. My personal page on Facebook is Jaquayla Lynn. If you guys have questions about your credit.
Sorry to cut you off. Can you spell it so that way they can?
Yes, so JAQUAYLALYNN. Definitely reach out to me.
Yeah. And before we get out of here, we end every episode with a healthy tip of the week.
Okay.
And which is sponsored by Finish. Definitely let y'all know that. The healthy tip of the week is sponsored by Finish.
Shout out to Finish.
Shout out to Finish. Beautiful owners, beautiful people. Healthy tip of the week. So can you help myself and the people that are listening get through their work week with either something that's physical, mental, or spiritual? So that way we can all be better people tomorrow. Okay.
So I would say I've been seeing such a need to be aware of what makes me feel good.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean being in tune with my environment, right, and the vibrations that I'm giving off to people, and when I'm allowed to kind of take in, for myself. So I would say just really paying attention and noticing how people make you feel, how environments make you feel, because it's really important. So I'm reading a book about it.
Okay, sure.
It's really enlightening.
Talk.
So the book I'm reading is called Vibrate Higher Daily.
Okay.
The author's name, I believe her name is Layla, Lelah, but the title is Vibrate Higher Daily.
Okay.
And I'm like halfway into the book, and it's been so liberating. And so it's about energy, it's about what are you putting out into the universe, and how are you kind of dealing with shit as it comes up. Because we have the potential to deal with things however, we choose to.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely.
Tonight, I know. Oh, I know.
Right? Our attitudes, our energies, it all matters. And so that's really what I'm tapping into, and really trying to make a routine of just being mindful of where I'm at and how I'm feeling and what I'm putting out, to other people.
Dope. Well, I'm going to give a healthy tip of the week today because boy, do y'all know, y'all don't know the shit I just went through 40 minutes ago. Make the best of a situation.
Absolutely.
Everything's not going to go as planned. I'll even share with y'all. My computer just shit the bed on me. Like my charger just stopped charging my computer.
It looked like it was on this last.
It was.
We'll have to put that out.
I'm gonna be completely honest. It was on this last day, but it didn't have to die on me during an interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, my nigga. Like,
it always be like that.
But
we work through it.
My charger completely died on me, and she's such a trooper. We rode the Target, my nigga.
Yeah.
We rode the Target to try to buy a charger, but they didn't have one. Dummy mission. Came back and recorded the second half of this interview. So make the best of every situation as much as you can, because it's not going to go as planned. But like you said, your energy and what you give out, make sure you try to give out good things and make sure you try to take in good things, because this could have went bad. I could have been like, she could have been like, nigga, you wasted my motherfucking time. Like,
time is valuable.
Yeah, you and your goofy ass podcast.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, but I definitely think, honestly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Stuff happens, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity, honestly. I appreciate you.
Both of us. I appreciate you, honestly. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient with me.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a blessing. You are a blessing.
Thank you.
And listeners and viewers, if you do happen to have, not the best credit, please do not be ashamed. Reach out to her Instagram, her Facebook, email. I'm not sure if she even gave her telephone number. So reach out because this platform is about us, and we need us to have better credit. We need us to be homeowners. We need us to be business owners. We need to support us as much as possible because we are really all the fuck we got. And I'm pretty sure some of the people that are listening or watching, y'all have kids, and let's try to provide something more to our kids than just what our parents gave to us.
Absolutely.
So, let's buy some homes, let's start some businesses, and let's pass that down to the youngins so that way they can have a head start like other people and other cultures do.
Right. We don't always gotta get it off the mud.
Yes.
What you said, I came from the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm scrambling to get to the top.
Yeah.
And that's real talk, and we could change the trajectory of other kids' lives.
Absolutely. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. This is episode 77, I believe. And if I'm wrong, god damn it, I had a rough fucking day, my nigga. Episode 77 of Roundtable Discussions. Got myself Bro Mac.
AKA.
Buying a new charger tomorrow.
AKA.
I'm not bullshit when I say that.
AKA, you better grab that charger.
Rap nerd.
AKA.
Relly Wilson.
AKA.
Relly Martinez.
AKA.
Millie Rock Mac.
Okay. AKA.
Dennis the Menace.
AKA.
Rodamez.
AKA.
Sophisticatedly Hood.
AKA.
The nigga that looked like the nigga off the Lemonhead box.
AKA.
And
what's your outro?
And I'm gonna end it with Tequila Pop.
Tequila Puffy.
And I'm sitting here with the credit guru, Miss Patient,
Definitely have a lot of patience.
Miss Blessings of the Night.
Let's get it. Jaquayla.
AKA.
Quay.
AKA.
Credit repair expert.
AKA.
Social worker bad day.
AKA.
Kid lover.
AKA.
Going to the top.
AKA.
Let's get it.
One more.
I don't know.
No, we're going to end it right here. We're going to end it right here. Again, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for watching. And thank you, Martha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
We out.